Good morning, everybody. We're going to call to order our meeting for today, Tuesday, January 14th, 2020. If you would, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all very much. At this time, we'll accept public comment for items not appearing on today's agenda. Is there any public comment at this time? Okay, seeing none, we'll accept public comment as it's under, as each item is under discussion and consideration. We're going to look for a motion to approve our minutes from our last meeting from last week.
Motion to approve the minutes from Tuesday, January 27th.
I will second it.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion on the minutes? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Motion is carried. Okay. All right, our first contract today is going to be for domestic relations. We're going to welcome up Don to discuss this contract. Good morning, Don.
Good morning.
Welcome
Don.
today.
I'm Don Gamp. I guess I'm the Acting Director, Center County Domestic Relations Office. We're here seeking the approval of an intergovernmental agreement with the sheriff to provide security for the domestic relations section.
Would you like to join us, Sheriff? I apologize, Don. Yeah, sure. Okay. Apologies, Don. No, that's okay. Please continue. Sorry.
So this isn't a contract, an intergovernmental agreement with the Sheriff's Department to provide security for the Domestic Relations Office. Basically just outlines responsibilities. It also gives us the ability to remit reimbursement for the domestic relations proportionate share of those costs for reimbursement from the state. The calculation of that is no different than it has been ongoing. It's just that the state is requesting a contract for the further submission of this reimbursement.
Okay. Sounds good. Anything you'd like to add?
No, I was working with Anne Marie prior to her moving on to another job. So the agreement's great. We already have it in place. It works for us. I think you have to do this every 5 years, I believe it is.
It will be rolled in with the cooperative agreement, so this contract would only be good until this September when the new cooperative agreement comes to fruition. And it'll be
It's
rolled
on
into
federal
that.
fiscal then. It's on federal fiscal year schedule.
Yes.
Sounds good. All right. Any other discussion or on this? Questions? Okay. We look for a motion then.
Motion to add the intergovernmental agreement to next week's consent agenda.
I will second it.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Gentlemen, thank you both. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, for our Office of Aging contract, we're going to have, you want it, Margaret? Okay, thank you, Margaret. Thank you.
The contract from the Office of Aging is an affiliation agreement with Lock Haven University to provide an educational experience to the university's students in the baccalaureate program in social work. The agreement is for the period of January 1st, 2020 through December 31st, 2022. And this agreement is similar to other agreements that our human services offices have entered into with Lock Haven University to make use and provide opportunities for students studying the human services.
Thank you, Margaret. Any questions, comments on this? Okay. Hearing none, is there a motion?
Motion to add the affiliation agreement with Lock Haven University to next week's consent agenda.
I will second it.
It's been moved and seconded. Any final discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion is carried. Okay, thank you, Margaret. All right, for our planning office, we're going to welcome up Diane Griffith. And Norm, are you going to join us as well? Okay. Norm Lathbury from the Ag Land Preservation Board, talking about certifying our appropriations for this upcoming year. Good morning to both of you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you. As you noted, we're seeking approval of the certification of our funds for the 2020 program year to purchase agricultural conservation easements. The top number reflects the $80,000 that the county has budgeted, plus a confirmed commitment of $5,000 from Potter Township and $50,250 from Ferguson Township, and then the Clean and Green rollback tax penalty interest. So that brings our allocation of 2020 county match funds to $144,798.
Okay, super, Diane,
All
thank
right.
you. In terms of what we're able to use this for, we then leverage that for other funds, and then we put this back into preservation of farmland here in
That's
Center County.
correct.
Great.
That's correct.
I just have one question. The Clean Green rollback money, is that by statute that money has to go back into, how does that end up?
By statute.
Okay, I'm not sure I knew the answer to that question. Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure I ever knew.
All right, any other questions, comments, please?
Since I do serve as ex officio on that board, one of the 32 I'm on, I do want to thank everybody who serves on the Ag Land Preservation Board, hardworking group. Generally, we preserve roughly 2 farms a year, but I think it was year before last, we had a record, Norm, wasn't it something like 5?
3 or 4, yeah.
Yeah, so that worked out very nicely. And what's our total number of preserved farms now? Pushing 50?
58.
58.
We just did farm number 58 last Tuesday.
Oh, good.
Matter of fact, the Conway Farm in Ferguson Township, roughly 175 acres. And
Excellent.
so that went very well.
So 58 preserved farms throughout the county, plus a few others with groups that we're affiliated with.
Pennsylvania still leads the nation in farmland preservation, by the way. So that's quite a feather in this Commonwealth's cap for this program effort. So we're very proud of that.
So county and local governments helping our local farmers to continue to keep the land in ag usage for generations.
Yes.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sure.
Good stuff.
So we would be honored for a motion. then.
Sure. Motion to add the certification of appropriations for the 2020 Agricultural Land Preservation Program to next week's consent agenda.
Second.
All right, so moved and seconded. Any final discussion on this? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion is carried. Thank you both very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
For our probation agreement here, we're going to welcome up Tom and Trudy. I'm sorry, and Terry. My apologies. Tom and Terry. And this is our annual owner county agreement between us and our 5 partner counties. Good morning to both of you, gentlemen. Good morning. Good morning.
I'm going to turn this over to Terry Trudy, our supervisor
Okay.
of
Okay.
the juvenile department, to go ahead and explain the contract.
Super.
Good morning. This is an owner agreement with the Center County's Youth Detention Center. We're requesting this item to be placed on the consent agenda. The item is for the period January 1st, 2020, the end of the fiscal year. The amount is $136,800.
Excellent. Thank you, Terry. And we represent anything you'd like to comment?
No,
Yeah.
I think our usage and utilization of the facility remains pretty low compared to a lot of the other member counties, and certainly some of the ones that we do lease bed space out to. So we appreciate that, and the courts do a great job of working with us to keep that number low, and it's been a minimized cost to our taxpayers, and we appreciate that. But overall, the facility is doing very well.
Okay. Thank you both, gentlemen. We look then for a motion.
Motion to add the owner county agreement with the Central Counties Youth Center to next week's consent agenda.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Any final discussion on this? Questions? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion is carried. Gentlemen, thank you both. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Good work.
All right, we're going to welcome up our Prothonotary and Clerk of Courts, Jeremy Breon, to discuss a contract renewal for solicitor. Good morning, Jeremy.
Good morning, everyone. How are we doing today?
Good,
Howdy.
thank you. How are you?
Fine, thanks. So I am here today to present a contract for my 2020 solicitor. The contract would be with Daniel McGee, Delfield McGee, Jones, to provide general legal advice concerning questions that arise but don't involve extensive legal research. The cap of the contract would be at $7,500 and at a rate of $125 per hour. The contract runs January 1st, 2020 through December 31st, 2020. The county would be billed on a bi-yearly basis. Those bill dates will be on or about June 30th, 2020 and on or about December 31st of 2020.
Okay, super. Any questions for Jeremy? Hearing none, is there a motion?
Motion to add the contract renewal with Delafield, McGee, and Jones PC to next week's consent agenda.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any final discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion is carried. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Jeremy.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to welcome Bob Jacobs up to discuss a capital project for a paving project. Hi, Jake.
Good morning. A little bit of background. Center County paved the gravel lots that were located or are located at High and Penn Streets across from the courthouse. We awarded a contract to EB Paving and Construction for $61,020. During the construction process, additional paving material was necessary in order to alleviate some drainage problems and those gravel lots, so that increased the cost of the project by another $2,953. So I'm requesting pay the invoice for the total amount of the project at $63,973 to finish out the project. The project took less than a week to complete, and from my perspective, it was a good project, and I think it's going to work out well this winter. So I would
Good work on that one. I think everyone over there appreciates that one.
Yeah, I was up that way a couple weeks ago, and it looks really nice.
Okay, thank you, Jake, for the context for that. We'd look for a motion if there's no further questions.
Motion to add the invoice from from EB Paving and Construction to next week's consent agenda.
Second that.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Any final discussion, questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
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 Motion is carried. Okay, thank you, Jake.
Thanks.
And then were you also going to handle the?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Next item deals with a memorandum of understanding. This is for, to extend the lease agreement with SC Joint Venture for the Magisterial District Office on South Pew Street. We are currently negotiating a new lease with SC Joint Venture at that location, and we'll just need a few more weeks to finalize the lease documents. The current amount we're paying a month for that lease is $5,960. That amount will continue until next September, but it's just a matter of finalizing the details with that lease, and getting that approved. So we'll be back before you here shortly with a final lease document.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you, Jake. Any questions for Jake? All right, hearing none, is there a motion?
Motion to add the MOU with SC Joint Venture to next week's consent agenda.
I will second that.
It's been moved and seconded. Any final discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion is carried. Jake, thank you very much.
Wrap that one up.
Thank you. Okay. In front of us is today's consent agenda. We have several items on there. Is there anything we'd like to extend public comment to? Any questions on our consent agenda? Okay, hearing none, is there a motion to approve it?
Motion to approve today's consent agenda.
I will second that.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Any final discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion is carried. Okay. All right, Margaret, we have some liquid fuels that we'll turn over to you.
That is correct. Two liquid fuels payments today. The first one is a payment in the amount of $20,000 to College Township for the East College Avenue and Elmwood Street intersection project. And the second is a payment in the amount of $1,801 to Unionville Borough for the replacement of street signs.
Okay, thank you, Margaret. Any questions, comments on these? All right, hearing none, is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve the liquid fuels payment to College Township and Unionville Borough.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Any final discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion is carried. Okay. Thank you, Margaret. For a discussion item, we're going to turn it over to Commissioner Higgins.
Yes,
for
I'm
the
very,
Challenge.
very excited. We have the Springboard Startup Challenge results to be announced. Ellen Mattis, the director of Springboard, and a broad variety of other companies and organizations, including 1795. Is it Studio 1795? I got to get that in the right order. So if you'd come on up and chat with us.
Good morning, Ellen.
Good morning. Thanks for
Good
having me.
morning.
All right. So, as we've discussed before, one of the biggest problems that business owners have when they're starting a business is just getting their name out there. So we started the Springboard Startup Challenge, which is mostly a marketing competition so that people can receive some funds to help them market their business a little bit. So this year we had 6 entries, wide variety of entries, everything from a very technical medical company to a hub for other business owners to get resources. So it was a hard judging process this year. We ended up going with Bell Mercantile. So they are the winner of our Springboard Startup Challenge for 2019. They are a husband and wife duo, Andrea and Brian, that are renovating the former Mattress World facility.
Oh, okay.
And they are, as they say, creating a retail environment that hosts a dynamic and curated collection of makers, artists, and merchants. So we really felt that kind of tied into the mission of Springboard to kind of bring economic development to Belmont's downtown. So they're hoping to open here in the spring and attract kind of a wide variety of business owners that'll sell products out of that space.
Well, that's great news, Ellen. I know a couple of our prior winners have been doing very well. Hoop Stars, I'm seeing them on Facebook all the time. I think was it tripled their number of classes over the last 2 years?
I think that's correct, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I'm trying to remember Mary Elizabeth McCullough's brother. What was
Joey?
what was his called again?
His business was called Able Racers.
Able
and
Racers.
He kind of adapts cars, like the cool little kids'
Yeah.
Jeeps, so that disabled kids can use them as well.
And I know they've been very busy too.
Yeah.
So with Bell Mercantile then, we just have the one winner?
We do just have one winner. We felt, we have a panel of judges that work on this competition, and we felt that a lot of them didn't provide the information that we were looking for, or didn't kind of tie into our overall mission. Some of them were out of county, some of them were, just not on the right track yet. So figured we'd make a bigger impact with just one prize this year.
That sounds good. And so Bell Mercantile is going to be in the old Mattress World factory, which is on, I'm trying to remember, would that be South Spring Street? Like in the 100 block or something?
It's
right next to the
right next to
Family
Dollar
Dollar.
General.
The Dollar General, right next to the Dollar General. And you said they're going to have makers there. They're going to have some eclectic retail. I'm assuming it's kind of aimed at anybody who wants something out of the ordinary, one of a kind?
Yeah, I think so.
Good, good. So another addition to retail in downtown Bellefonte. Just exciting to see the energy of Bellefonte. I know we've had articles recently in the Lock Haven Express, in the Center Daily Times, in the Center County Gazette, various news pieces as well from the TV stations, that Bellefonte's really kind of becoming the place to be, especially if you're a young professional and even an entrepreneur. And then did you want to mention a little bit about the Studio 1795?
Yeah, so Springboard has now joined forces with Studio 1795. So Springboard's new model is going to be to offer mostly business resources and workshops to aspiring entrepreneurs and existing business owners in our downtown community. And then co-working is going to be through a new privately owned co-working space, Studio 1795.
And I think Downtown Bellefonte, Inc. is also sharing offices with you?
Yep, that is, so the studio serves as the headquarters for Downtown Bellefonte, Inc., which this year has its first full-time employee. So that Main Street manager, Gina Thompson, is working full-time out of the studio.
So you're usually going to have somebody there 9 to 5, Monday through Friday?
8 to 4.
8 to 4, okay. A little earlier, but that's still good. So 8 to 4, Monday through Friday. And, if anybody would like some assistance, would like more information, how do they get that info?
They can either find it on the Springboard website, bellefontespringboard.com, or studio1795.com.
Great. Do we have questions from the press?
Yeah. What's going to happen to the building by Tally Green that Springboard was in? Is it going to be vacant? Is Springboard still going to be there? Could you just sort of speak to the partnership with Studio 1795?
Yeah, so the Springboard was actually renting that facility. So, we've kind of handed that back over to the owner of the building now. And, he's talked to us about a few ideas he has for down there, but can't really speak to that. What was the second part? Oh, great.
So yeah, the location was great, but in the entrepreneurial world, if something isn't fitting really well, you do what you call a pivot. And you keep what's good, and then you add some new things. So we just found in Bellefonte, it's much more of a co-working vibe. So fortunately, when we set up Springboard, we had it about 50% lockable desk and 50% co-working. Now we're going almost entirely co-working at the new space, because that's where the demand is. And I think people also weren't so into coming into a space where maybe they were the only person there during that couple hours, or maybe there were two people there. There's going to be a lot more energy now at Studio 1795, because you've got multiple people working out of the space 8 to 5, Monday through Friday.
How will that impact the budget of Springboard?
It will actually reduce it a little bit in line to the budget that we put in place for 2020. So
I think it could be a topic, since it's reopened, we're going to have some budget meetings, we can always just look at that to appreciate the change, and
Yeah.
I think that makes sense, just so we all are on the same page.
Okay.
I think that's important, so, yeah, sure. anything else? Just-
No, just happy to see the energy and growth in Bellefonte, especially amongst the young professionals.
Before you leave, Ellen, just wanted to say, we've heard many, many times your name mentioned as a leader of entrepreneurship and just growth in Bellefonte. So we're really excited that you're here in our community and doing all these great things. So just wanted to share that with you and just say thank you for all you do. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Okay. Thank you, Ellen. Thanks. All right. So we have 3 items for ABCs. We've got 1 reappointment of Commissioner
Yeah.
Higgins to our CEDACOG Board of Directors. We also get to appoint a municipal representative. So Lisa Strickland from Ferguson Township will be our appointment for 2020. And we also thank the service of Denny Hainmeister from Harris Township from last year. So we'd look for a motion to that effect.
Should we have Steve make the motion since it's?
I will move to approve the appointments.
All right, it's been moved, and I will second it.
Okay, all right. But I believe I can vote on it.
Oh, of course, yeah, of course. You don't get any stipend from CEDACOG.
No,
It's not, yeah. Advocate for Center County.
Exactly.
Yes. Okay. So it's been moved and seconded. Any final discussion on this? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion is carried. Okay. And then Commissioner Higgins, check run.
Sure, we have a check run, kind of a smaller one, $453,104.24. And check that's a little bit out of the ordinary. We have a check to the Borough of State College for $9,293.01. It's the Penn State impact fee. It's not the whole fee. It's just Penn State re-audits all of the real estate they have that is not directly used for education, and they found they had a little bit more square footage this year. And so they sent us a little bit more money, much of which is passed on to the Borough of State College. So thanks to Penn State for double checking your numbers and sending us a little bit extra cash. We appreciate it. So we'd like to make a motion to approve the check run dated January 10th.
I will second that.
It'll be moved and seconded. Any further discussion on this? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay. We have consideration of a CNET request, and this is for the sponsorship of 5 tapings for the Civil War Roundtable meetings, and they're held in various months throughout the year. Will there be a motion to approve this?
Motion to approve CNET sponsorship for the Civil War Roundtable meetings.
I will second it.
It's been moved and seconded. Any final discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Commissioner Dershowitz, over to you.
Okay, we have 109,121 registered voters in Center County this week. That includes 45,813 Democratic registrants, 157 Green Party, 677 Libertarian, 14,690 no affiliation, and 42,925 Republicans. That leaves a total of 4,859 all other parties. And today's feature all other party is the Decline to State Party. They are declining to state a preference. So there was 1 registered decline to state member here in Center County. That's down 66 registrants from last report. The featured precinct of the week is Howard Township, which is precinct number 58. They vote at the township building. In precinct number 58, there were 580, which I don't know if it's a coincidence, it's 58 and there's 580 registered voters in the last election. 288 ballots cast, which led to a voter turnout percentage of 49.66. So as close to 50% as we can probably reasonably get.
Very nice.
Yeah, that's a great turnout. And the folks that make it happen, I better don my glasses. The judge of election is Lois Bryan. The minority inspector is Sharon Brower. The majority inspector is Constance Beck. And we have 1 clerk, which is Nancy Penland. And I want to thank Howard Township for allowing us to invade their space a couple times a year, and hopefully they'll be up for it again in April. So there you have it.
That's a good crew, 4 folks.
Yeah.
Running that. That's good.
50% turnout. They're busy.
Yeah.
We appreciate that.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Yep, thanks.
Okay. We do want to remind folks and announce again that Center County government will be closed this upcoming Monday in observance of Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and encourage all citizens to reflect on his legacy and service to our country. Any executive sessions to report, Margaret? Okay, none. Okay. We have the balance of our public meeting schedule and election announcements. At this time, we'd offer any time for the press to ask any questions.
Not 6 Civil War roundtables. It was a long war. No, just kidding.
1 for each year.
The contract with the Youth Detention Center, how does that compare with last year's amount? About the same amount?
I think it's actually down a little bit, and the utilization has been down. Our courts work pretty diligently to find alternatives to incarceration for these children, and really it's only used in extreme circumstance.
The issues that surfaced there late last year still under discussion? Were they any kind of issue during this contract?
We've had numerous discussions. We just had our board meeting on Friday of last week, and that conversation again came up. We are trying to work our way through. We've had great cooperation from Mount Nittany Health. We've had great cooperation from all the area judges, and I think everybody's working together for a solution that I think we are on our way. It's a very tough conversation to have, particularly when you're talking about meth addiction with children and the detox and withdrawal symptoms that indicates. But hopefully we can come up with services to provide care for those children when they come to our center. It's a rare occasion, though, at this point. It's not. Last summer we had a number of impacted children. Right now, we really haven't had that problem for a number of months, and that's given us kind of a chance to regroup and rethink our processes.
In terms of representation from these different counties, any input as to where Center County in particular, how many in terms of population percentage, or even the meth addiction? Is there any numbers that we have that you folks happen to have at the moment related to that?
You're talking about the meth problem?
Yes.
We haven't had any in Center County that I'm aware of. It's been some of our sister counties around us. It's not been a big crisis. It's a very, very small minority of the folks that have been housed there. The problem is, and regrettably, when it happens, it requires a lot of manpower and a lot of energy and a lot of, as we're finding, a lot of care. Because those children come out and they go into a psychosis, and it's a lot of work when we have those. So I think at this point we've agreed that we will address those problems as they arise from the member counties, but we have tenant counties throughout the state that we are monitoring very closely and trying to limit the number of children that we accept from those counties that are going to impact our situation.
It is a census year. Does Center County still rank among the increasing counties throughout Pennsylvania in terms of population?
We do. There were some initial data that was put out in terms of Pennsylvania's growth, and Pennsylvania is essentially flat statewide, but we are still seeing an increase in Center County in terms of population growth. So coming in this April, we'll have everybody fill out the census forms and see what the final count would be, but I think we're all confident that it's going to show a healthy growth in top 5 in the state.
We definitely encourage everyone to take that postcard, go online, fill everything out, because every single person is the equivalent of about $2,100 of federal funding. Plus, I believe Pennsylvania is probably going to lose at least one congressional seat in the upcoming census. Let's try to get everybody registering so we just lose one congressional seat instead of 2.
Briefly elaborate just in the consent agenda item related to the letter related to refugee resettlement. Brief summarization of what that letter states.
Sure. So Executive Order 13888, it was signed by the President last year, and it essentially asks states and local governments to consent to continued resettlement of refugees. And so the Governor Wolf had done this last year, had consented to it, as well as over 30 governors across the state. There's only been one state that said that they wouldn't accept refugees at this point. The deadline is on the 21st of this month to either consent or not consent, and so this would essentially just be Center County saying that we would be consenting to continued resettlement of refugees within our county. And again, these individuals go through a very lengthy process, sometimes takes months or years for them to go through this security process, background checks, extensive security checks. And so this essentially would just be a letter transmitted from us to Secretary Pompeo in Washington saying that we would continue this. We would also be listed on a website that the Department of State has with those other 30-plus states that have consented already, and including some of the local governments that have. So essentially, this is just getting this done by the end of the deadline, which is next week, and taking it from there.
Any data related to refugees in the county you have?
That's a great question. No, we do know anecdotally that during the second Iraq War conflict, after that there were many refugees that were resettled here We've also heard that there have been Russian refugees that have settled here in the past. So again, no data that we can speak of, but we can certainly find that out and provide it to you. Any other questions before we adjourn? Okay, seeing none, is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn at 10:30.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 You're adjourned. Thank you all very much.
Thanks.